Welcome back, everyone, to this episode of Tabletop. Today, we have back our board game correspondent, Mac. We're going to be talking about PAX Unplugged. I was not able to go this year, but Mac was. So I sent him out with a list to find the best games, the newest stuff. And he's here to report back. Mac, how are you?
I'm great, Nick. Thanks so much for having me. We're here on the PAX floor and things are crazy. I'm just kidding. We're in a room.
How was PAX, though? Because last year it was very busy, but it was also, coming back out of the pandemic. A lot of developers didn't even really have a booth. Like, we love X-Wing, Fantasy Flight, or who's the new
Fantasy? Atomic Mass Games.
Atomic Mass Games. They didn't even have a booth. Yeah,
no. Still no. So I think that the thing that I learned this year is that the Game Design Conference is actually the same weekend as PAX Unplugged.
No way. Is it like in Philly?
No, that's not in Philly. That's on the West Coast. So it's impossible for people to go to both.
So they're competing.
Basically, they're competing, and I think that Fantasy Flight goes to that one. So they weren't there again.
Yeah.
But they did have a world qualifier, I think, for X-Wing.
You guys played a little bit, but not in the tournament.
Yeah, we didn't play in the tournament. Me and our friend Armando just played on like the mats that were there. It was great. So the convention itself was awesome. Friday was chill, like always. Saturday was way busier this year than it was last year.
You guys sent me pictures, and I was getting anxious just looking at it.
Yeah, it was wild. I mean, you talk to people that have been to Gen Con and stuff. They're like, I mean, that's nothing compared to Gen Con. And I haven't been personally, but it felt pretty busy to me. The booths were awesome. So many cool indie developers with booths this year. A lot of cool playtests happening. The one thing that we noticed that was different than last year was way less panels.
Ooh,
and we weren't sure why.
Yeah.
It was.
Did they just have like a greater criteria to get into a panel? Because like last year was like basically anyone could have a panel kind of thing.
Yes, and it was panels all the time. I mean, it's like, I don't know, less panels in general. Maybe it's just that I went to less.
Yeah.
But it was like Shut Up and Sit Down had a panel. I went to that. That was really fun. The keynote speaker last year was the McElroys, so I went to that last year. But this year it was Matt Mercer, and
I saw videos of that.
Yeah, I think Matt Mercer is a great DM. I just wasn't like, I just don't need to see him live.
Yeah. Give a PowerPoint.
Was that what he was doing?
Yeah. It's basically, a keynote, just sort of like going through the slides, all that kind of stuff.
So I just don't, I didn't really see the necessity there. So I didn't really go to a lot of panels, but I did play a lot of games, and I'm excited to talk about them.
Yeah, so each year when we get back, I really like to do this sort of unpacking of what we saw. And Max, since I wasn't able to go this year, I want to pick your brain on everything you saw. And the different ways that I kind of want to go about it is, what is being developed that you kind of got to see, or something that's being released that you're like, this is fucking cool, and then just gems that you found on the forest floor. Like what was the shining stars of PAX that you saw? Let's start with just cool things you found.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Regardless of release date.
Yeah. I think that one of the things that I finally got to play that was kind of cool. One of the things I finally got to play that was kind of cool was Blood on the Clock Tower.
Oh, I love the idea of this game.
Yeah, so Blood on the Clock Tower, for those people that don't know, it's considered to be like the crown jewel of social deduction games. There is a game master.
Yeah.
I can't remember what they're called, but they were running games of Blood on the Clock Tower all day.
Because it's a 20-person game, like max, right?
Yeah, it plays up to 20.
Yeah.
I think it plays more.
No way.
Yeah,
That's
think
cool.
you can play really as many as you want.
Hear that, camp counselors?
It's really good. It's really good. We played it with a group of 15. But you would have to go first thing in the morning to sign up because it would get full immediately.
Yeah.
You get filled immediately. So we went on Saturday. The expo floor opened at 10. We got there at 10:15 and it was already filled.
Can you kind of explain what Blood on the Clock Tower is?
Sure. So there's one game master that has this like big book, which is also the game box. It's really freaking cool. Check it out. Shut Up and Sit Down is a great review of the game if you want to learn a lot more about it. But basically, there is a classic Mafia style werewolf style, there's like a bad guy, and that bad guy has minions, and then there's a good team, and everyone on the good team has a role, and the roles do things.
Kind of like werewolf.
Werewolf, exactly. So like, and every night, someone will get killed by the bad guy, and every day the townspeople will have the choice to nominate someone to be killed, and if they kill the bad guy, they win, and if the bad guy is like one of 2 people left standing, the bad team wins. But the really cool thing about it is that it has the game master and everybody has a role.
Yeah.
And a lot of the roles actually reveal information, but only to you.
Okay.
So my role was I was the investigator.
Right.
And I got to learn on the first night before anything else happened, I got to learn that one of 2 people was a specific minion of the bad guy. It was the poisoner.
Yeah.
And so like now these 2 people, like the first day I'm going up to them and being like, hey, like I know you're the poisoner, you're not.
Yeah.
So you need to like tell me what you are.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to nominate you to be murdered.
Killed, yeah.
And like people did not like that. I did that. They were like, that's how you play these kind of games? I was like, yeah, I'm the investigator. That's the one piece of information that I have. This one woman that I went up to.
Damn right, I'm going to use it against you.
The one woman that I went up to, she was going to everybody. She was being like, that Mac guy yelled at me. He yelled at me. And then, and I was like, if I was yelling, everyone in this room would be looking at me. They would know.
Yeah.
But our friend Ethan was like, oh my God, should I talk to him after the game? Are you okay? Yeah. Like, he was like such a sweetheart about it. But she was like, no, I'm just like, it's a game. Yeah. Like, but so it's really cool because you can pull people aside and talk to them individually. It's really neat. And for a long time, you couldn't get it. And now you can.
Yeah.
So now you can get it on Amazon. It's like $120. It's very expensive, but it comes with 3 different modules that are very changeable.
Yeah.
And I mean, with a game that you have to play with 6 people minimum.
Yeah.
And like 20 people maximum. I mean, it's for like those special kind of like parties kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I found out about this a while ago and I was obsessed with the idea. The original module that they came out with was essentially you're all in sort of like a, not Victorian era, but sort of like a London-esque town and somebody was hung by the clock tower.
Yes.
By what seems to be like a demon. Like demon was written in blood on the clock tower or something. And then everyone's like, who did this? Which like in of itself is amazing. From what you said though, $120, that is expensive for, especially for these kind of games, because you can get a werewolf for like $10 at a game store. What makes it worth it? Yeah,
so the really cool thing about the box is that the box opens up into this book that's like literally held together with binder clips. It's very silly. But the back of the box on the inside is velvet, and all the tokens are velvet. So the GM, what they're looking at is the inside of the box with these velvet tokens on the velvet backing, so they don't move. So they move around as you're moving around.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to run the game in that way. It's like very high quality.
And is the GM the investigator or?
Oh, no. The GM doesn't play.
Okay.
The GM just facilitates the game happening. And because of that, there are some roles which could never exist in Werewolf, like the mayor.
Yeah.
They have an ability where if they are one of 3 people left, the good people win.
Oh.
And also, if they would be killed by the demon, they might not be. Okay. So the GM might just be like, nope, I choose someone else.
Huh.
They might just choose someone else. So it's like if the good people are doing really, really badly, the GM can balance it in the other way, which in Werewolf can be really frustrating because of the way that the cards fall. It might just be impossible for the werewolf to win.
Yeah.
And it might be impossible for the townspeople to win, but in Blood on the Clock Tower, it's always a story. There's always a
facilitated,
chance. Exactly. So I think it's worth the price.
Do you think you'll be picking it up?
I have it.
Ooh, okay.
I got it for Christmas. So yeah, I asked for it for Christmas. So I got that after we had played it because it was electric. It was fun. Yeah. I played it with my 2 friends and then like 12 other random people. And it also just like facilitated conversation in a cool way. Like it was like we were all like just going around and talking with each other almost immediately. And it's pretty opaque. Like no one's going to have any idea what they're doing in the first game. Yeah. Which is very balancing. Yeah. And leveling. Yeah. So let's put on the Clock Tower.
Ooh, I love that. So that, would you say that is basically a party game? Is that like a party game for a TTRPG enthusiast?
Yes.
What is, yes. Okay.
I would say a party game for someone who like hates party games and like has people that are willing to like go out on a limb. Like, if you have a group of people that you play werewolf with to end the night, and you want to make werewolf the night, like, play Blood on the Clock Tower.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Did you find another one that really got your brain going?
So I'm just going to talk about, this game is new. No Pun Included has an awesome review of it. And it was perfectly timed right for PAX. Sky Team.
Sky Team. I've never even heard of this.
Okay.
Is it a board game? Is it a TTRPG?
It's a board game.
Is it a card game?
So it's really simple. What it is it's only 2 players, so perfect for a couple. And you are a pilot and a co-pilot trying to land a plane.
Okay.
And that's it. Sky Team.
Yeah.
That's it. And how the game works, it's so simple.
Yeah.
Each player has a screen and 4 6-sided dice.
Yeah.
And then there is a board in the middle that represents like the console of the plane. And on that console is like the leveling of the wings, the how if the landing gear is deployed, if the flaps are down. And all you do in the game is you roll your dice behind your screen and you take turns going back and forth, placing dice.
Okay.
And that's it.
Easy enough.
That's it. It's super simple, but it's really, really cool because it's like, okay, if we're at a certain point in the game and you place a 3 on our speed, and now I have to place another number on our speed too. Every round you have to place it on the leveling of the wings and the speed of the airplane. Yeah. And you have to control your speed because you need to arrive at the airport right when your altitude, which is like the timer in the game, reaches 0. Okay. You need to be at the airport.
You can't be past or
No, because you're going to crash the plane. So you have to like make your speed be at a certain point. But if we are communicating, because we can't talk. Yeah. While the round is going. We can talk before the round, we can talk after the round, but the second the dice are rolled, we can no longer talk.
Yeah, a little bit like the crew in that way.
Yes. Yeah. And it's like the crew for 2 people. Yeah. Walking around the convention, hundreds of people are playing Sky Team. Wow. It was so popular. As I was playing it with my friend Ethan, we would just like, people would come by and be like, oh, Sky Team, that game rules. Like, and the game comes with the first module, which you're probably going to lose the first time. You might win. But then under the insert in the box, there's like tons of different things. Cool. So it's like the initial console, like it adds on an intern that you need to train while you're flying the airplane. Yeah. It adds on fuel consumption. It adds on all kinds of stuff. So
it feels,
random elements.
From what you're saying, it feels very much like a quick to learn, hard to master puzzle game, but it is also like a communication game as well.
Yes, cooperative, very cooperative. And it's like my girlfriend who like hates board games. She hates them. She does not have the attention span to play them. What I'll do with her to see if she's interested in a game is I'll pull it out and I'll be like, okay, so if we were playing, you would do this and then I would do this. Like I will kind of like play through it a little bit to like show her. And at a certain point as I was doing that, she was like, okay, like can we just pick it up here and like I can play now? Yeah. And I'm like, yes.
Gotcha, motherfucker.
Yeah, fucking gotcha.
That's awesome. So would you say that this is like the kind of the gem of the con, where it's like the con sort of decided collectively this is the game we like?
Yes, I think the con collectively decided Sky Team is the game of the con,
and it's out.
It is out. You can get it. It's like $30.
Oh God, that's a good price.
It's great. It's a small box.
Is it Amazon, local game store? What's your? Where
I'm gonna get it at the local
game
store if you can. Yeah. Obviously, but I think you could probably get it on Amazon. The developer was there and they were selling it. They were the only place selling it at the con. And they sold out every day. Yes, they sold out every day.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Good for them. What's the studio?
Oh,
is it an individual name, like a person, or
no? It's not an individual person. Okay, so so Sky Team, the designer is Luc Raymond, and the publisher is Scorpion Mask. Cool. So I think it's originally a French-Canadian publisher, I think. Okay. The only reason I'm assuming that is because the first airport you land in is Montreal.
Yeah. So that makes sense. That tracks.
So
okay, so that feels like the gem of the con, but when we went last year, there were so many things where we were walking around. They weren't even new games, but like we stumbled upon Furnace, which we really loved.
Yeah.
We stumbled upon Ahoy, which we loved. Was there something that you stumbled upon? Doesn't have to be a new game, but that you were like, I fucking love this game. This is such a good game.
Man, I mean, the Sky Team was the main one. I think the thing that was interesting about the con this year was there was like a lot of iteration on things that already existed.
You mean like expansions? Or?
Kind of, yeah. But the main one that there were so many iterations of was Morkborg.
Yeah. There's Pirate Borg and Space Borg and all that stuff.
So Morkborg, for those people that don't know, I mean, have you done an episode on Morkborg?
We've talked about it a couple of times, but we haven't done a review yet.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I still have yet to play it, to be honest. But there was so much Morkborg content. There was something they were doing called it was called the Corpse Run, where basically, like, if you went to every booth that had Morkborg stuff, you got like a little gift bag of Morkborg things. And it was like, there were so many booths. Yeah. Including the artists for the game were there.
Man, the art in that game is wild. Imagine,
it's so good.
If you will, a metal album cover that has been turned into a book.
Yes. It's so good. So that one was really cool because there were so many iterations on it. I got, there were a lot of things that were ported over to 5e. So I got like, the Pirate Borg monster book ported to 5e.
Oh, okay.
And because I'm going to be running a Spelljammer game, and I was like, that could work for space monsters. Sure. But it was really like a lot of iterations on things. And man, it's been out for a little while now, so I guess this kind of counts. And like, this is my shame. One of the games of the con was Lorcana.
Really?
Disney Lorcana.
I mean, Armando came back and was like, fucking Pokemon's gone. Like, I don't care about it anymore. All I care about is Lorcana.
So,
I heard from him as well that you did it right, where you bought a booster pack, pulled an amazing card, sold the card, bought another booster box.
$90, baby. I sold that card for $90.
That's wild.
And I said, see you later. I said, I'm going to buy another one.
Gotta get a full set first, then we collect.
Exactly. So it was Lorcana. They had a booth there. They had a line. They were selling out of booster boxes every day. The game is fun.
What is the game? Is it sort of like a Magic type of game? Is it more of like a Pokemon sort of game? Like, what is the difficulty of it? How do people need to approach this?
Yeah, so Disney Lorcana, it's by Ravensburger Games, which is so funny. I was at a place I teach the other day, and there was like a puzzle by Ravensburger.
Really?
I was like, oh, I've never heard of them before. That's so funny. But they, so the game is a mix between Hearthstone, Magic, and Keyforge.
Okay.
So
for the audience, I'm kind of scrunching up my face. As those don't, like, in my mind, they don't really go together.
So Keyforge, for those people that don't know, is a race game where you're trying to collect as much of a resource as you can by the end.
Yeah, and there's like a little bit of combat, but there's an objective that you're doing instead.
Yes, so Lorcana's like that. You're trying to gather lore by the end of the game, 20 lore, and you win.
Okay.
And every character in the game can like quest for lore. Magic, because the cards in your hand, all of them are like characters or items or actions, and most of them, the grand majority, can be turned into ink, which is like the mana in the game.
Yeah.
How you do that is you show it to your opponent, you put it face down in your inkwell, and then that basically becomes like, for those of us that play Magic, like a land. Or a gem in Hearthstone. And because you can kind of play one every turn, because you always have one in your hand, you never run into the Magic problem where, oh, I don't have any lands, I'm screwed. And it kind of reminds you of Hearthstone because it's like you can get a gem every turn by playing the ink. Magic, because when you play a character down, it has like an attack value, a health value, an ability.
Does it have keywords and all that kind of
stuff? Keywords, exactly, all that shit. And also there are 6 colors in the game.
Okay, so very magic.
Very magic. And to make a deck, you must, I think you can have up to 2 colors in a deck.
Again, very magic.
And then 4 of each card.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the game.
4 of each card. That's interesting.
Yeah. So because it's a deck builder, it's 60 card decks.
Oh, 60 card decks. Okay.
But what we did, which was really fun, and this is what I recommend to anyone playing Lorcana, is we did sealed. So with my box, we had 4 players. It was me, Armando, his girlfriend Alyssa, and our friend Ethan. We each got 6 packs. We opened them up. And then out of those 6 packs, 12 cards in a pack, You made a 40 card deck.
Okay.
Any colors you want.
Yeah.
Just mash them all together. Who cares?
Yeah.
And then we played a 4-player game.
Ooh.
Which
like
worked
Commander style?
really well.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Because I guess that makes sense because it's not like a head-to-head sort of thing. Like you're all just collecting lore.
It's
and
just
all
a
that
race.
stuff.
Yeah. So it can be like, oh, Ethan's getting ahead.
Yeah.
Like, let's like beat the crap out of him. And it's like you can like what's really cool is that when your characters quest for lore, they exhaust.
Mm-hmm.
Or exert or whatever. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? They tap, okay? I know Magic owns they tap. And then your characters can only be attacked if they're tapped.
Okay. Yeah, that's easy enough.
So it creates like kind of a, oh, do I tap this thing like because I know it can be killed?
Yeah.
And the turn that a thing is played, it can't be used.
Gotcha.
But there's almost like a Pokemon evolution system where there are some characters that like have a big version of them that can be played on top.
So and that's the card you sold, right? Was the Hercules like
Yes.
Divine or whatever?
Enchanted, yeah. Because they have a rank of enchanted cards, and I just got lucky.
Yeah.
My box had a Enchanted Hercules, TCG player, $140, sold it for $90. So I sold that and a couple other good cards.
Yeah.
I got a $40 Beast that I sold. I got another one of those in my second box. So I'll be selling that for another box. Yeah, it's fun. It's hot right now. There's a new set coming out in February.
Is there a scene around it?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Well, the main thing about Lorcana, and I think why it's really good to get into it right now, is for the first year of its release, maybe it's been out for a year, maybe less. For the first year of its release, it was they really underestimated how popular it would be, or they purposefully limited the stock to increase prices.
Sounds very Disney. Yeah.
Yeah. Either way, it was really hard to get, and because of that, it had a really toxic scalping culture.
Yeah.
That is going away because the first set has just been reprinted.
Okay.
Like, for example, I asked for some for Christmas. My sister, who does not play games, like, would have trouble finding something, like, scalped. Like, just went to her local game store and got me 3 packs.
Yeah.
Easy.
And do they sell full decks?
They sell full starter decks.
Okay.
Yep. In the first set, there are 3. In the second set, there are 2.
Nice.
And they're not good, but they're serviceable.
And you can use them as a basis to, like, augment and make a real deck.
Exactly, and make, like, a good deck out of. Yeah, there's, like, a yellow-blue starter deck in the new set that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And there are cool archetypes, like, that are, like, oh, like, this is actually, like, neat. Like, there's a healing archetype. Oh, the other thing the game has, which is kind of fun because it's Disney, is it has cards that are have the song type.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And what those cards do is if you have a character that costs a certain amount or more, they can sing the song instead of you having to pay to play it.
That's cool.
So that's kind of neat. And then there's like a Cinderella right now that's freaking busted that like she's a singer 3.
Yeah.
So she can sing songs that cost 3, but she only costs 1.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, holy shit, that's a $25 card. Like
that's like a ramp ramp card.
It's like Cinderella ramp so hard. Like that's the world we're living in now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And like that's like the con was like, I had a lot of fun playing Lorcana. I thought about Lorcana a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on a I guess a range. I'm trying to figure out what the parameters of the range would be, but a range of like Pokemon to Magic the Gathering. How hard is Lorcana to play? Pokemon, very easy.
It's so easy. It's very easy. It's a better game than Pokemon.
Yep.
Because Pokemon is just like find your big boy and win. Which is fine and very cool. And Pokemon is great. Our friend Armando is really into it. But I would say that it's a better game. I would say that it's super easy to teach kids. Yeah. Which is great.
Yeah.
Super easy to get new people into it. Everyone that I taught it to at the con picked it up immediately. Yeah. It has like some cool stuff you can do in it where it's like, you know, like, oh, like if you want to get in the weeds and be like, there's a whole Merlin archetype right now. Okay. Where there are all these different types of Merlin where it's like, he's a squirrel, he's a goat. Like, because I guess him and Madame Mim do some kind of duel in Sword in the Stone where they change into different forms. Yeah. But Merlin's whole deal is when he enters the battlefield and when he leaves, an effect happens. Okay. So it's about bouncing him back to your hand. That's cool. And Arthur's bounce him. Oh. And then Madame Mim's bounce him as well. Cool. So it's like this whole like Arthur, Merlin, Madame Mim, they're all in the same color, just bouncing Merlin back and forth. forth again.
So you can make sort of engines within the game to do cool stuff.
Exactly. So
It's
it's like if you're down for that,
Shutterwalk or whatever it was in Hearthstone.
Yes. So it's like if you want to do that, you can do it.
Yeah.
But also there's an archetype that's just like, I play dwarves, I play the 7 dwarves, and they all just like interact with each other, and I just play them, and then I top deck more dwarves, and I win.
Yeah. So I have a quick question about it is the thing that I hate most about Magic is that if I ever play someone and I have, my simple decks and I just kind of like to play, I like card games. I sit down and I'm like, 3 turns in, they're like, okay, so you lose. Do you want to know how? And you're like, yeah, sure. And then they like talk for 15 minutes about how they go through this huge chain reaction they have in their deck. Is this that sort of game, or is it a little bit more friendly to...
It's very friendly. The main thing that I've noticed about the game that I think is so smart, and I think is always going to cap its ceiling, is card draw is very rare.
Yeah.
So like any, and not like rare cards allow you to do it, but just like it's hard to come by.
Yeah.
So a card that replaces itself in your hand, the second I saw that in Sealed, I was like, oh, wow, I play this card and then I get to draw a card?
Yeah.
Crazy. In Magic, it'll be like, okay, so if I do this and then I do this and then I do that, I have an infinite amount of squirrels on the battlefield now. And then I get to you draw a card for every squirrel that I have, and you've milled out your deck and you lose.
Yeah.
That kind of combo does not exist in the game.
Yeah.
As far as I know. Like the biggest combo in the game right now is there is a flute that is an item that is like Sleepy's flute. And when I sing a song, I can exhaust it, and then I gain a lore.
Gotcha.
Like, that's it.
So it's just like the chain reactions are 3 steps max.
Yes, and there are no instants. Because that's the main thing that Magic gets in the weeds with, which is like, on your turn, you say you're doing something, fuck you, no you don't.
Yeah.
Does that feel good? It's like, no, that sucks. Like, I don't want... Stop doing shit during my turn.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's very, like, Keyforge in that way, where it's like... Oh, on my turn is sacred. I do the stuff I do on my turn. And because it's a race, it's very obvious. It's like, I can't screw you because most of what I have on the board, it's like, you know what I have.
Yeah.
You know what I have.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, man,
game.
I like that.
It's a good game.
Yeah, I'm excited to try it out sometime. Hop over and
we'll do a
try
Sealed.
that
It'll be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we have gone through what seems like the 3 major players at the con. Was there anything that you were like, okay, this is trash, or okay, this is a surprising, sort of interesting little thing? Maybe I'm not super invested in it yet, but something that I'm interested in.
The last thing I want to talk about, and like Nick knows this about me, and maybe I've talked about this on this podcast before, but I am really into Gloomhaven.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really into Frosthaven.
Wait, does Frosthaven have like a new...
It doesn't, but the Gloomhaven RPG is a thing, and I played it.
How was it? Was it crunchy? Is it like...
No, it wasn't crunchy.
Okay.
It wasn't very good.
Interesting.
And that was a bummer for me. I'm just like... I wanted to like it a lot. And I think that maybe I had a bit of a scuffed experience with it.
Yeah.
But so here's basically how it goes. So Gloomhaven, you have a modifier deck. Yeah. And you flip over cards in that deck, and there's zeros, plus ones, minus ones, 1 plus 2, 1 minus 2, 1 crit, and 1 null. And so it's pretty, the variance on it isn't huge, and I love the combat in Gloomhaven is so good. And it is a combat game. It's not a role-playing game.
Yeah.
And adding roleplay into it and then just having the same combat system, it was kind of like, it left no room for theater of the mind.
Yeah. Because it is very specific, the combat. Like, it is very much like almost puzzle-ish, where it's like, okay, guys, I'm going to play this, which means someone has to do something like this, and then you will probably have to like recover this so that we can get this objective. Otherwise, we're going to have to like spend 2 turns killing this. Like that is sort of how that game works.
It's the kind of game where healing is bad because you have to kill things now or you lose.
Exactly.
Like, healing is much better in Frosthaven, but in Gloomhaven, that's the way it was.
Yeah, turn economy is like really important.
Yes, action economy is insane. On your turn, you get a top. You get play 2 cards, do one thing on one of them, one thing on the other, that's it.
Yeah.
That's the whole game. And in the RPG, they had to get a little looser with that to make it work, and it kind of ruined it. Like, all the base moves in Gloomhaven are move 2s.
Yeah.
So you move 2 spaces. And for people that I know that have played RPGs, like our friend Danny, he hates that. He's like, I just want to be able to move my character.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that would break the game. And there was enough vocalization from people like that now every movement in Gloomhaven RPG is a move 4.
Oof.
And I'm like, it just ruins the game.
Yeah.
Like, so
the strategy becomes a little bit, like, I guess, less important when you can move across like that fast.
But then it's like, it's an RPG, so it's like strategy shouldn't matter as much. It should be more about storytelling, but it's also like, the world is like whatever. It's fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't have anything more. Our GM was really cool. Actually, our game was GM'd by the Rage Badger on YouTube. I watch her videos all the time.
Yeah.
She rules. She has great videos about Gloomhaven and Frosthaven. If you ever want to get into those games, she's the person to go to. And she just like showed up at our table as our GM.
That's so funny.
I was like, this is sick. And she did a great job.
So you even had a GM that was like of a certain caliber.
A great caliber.
Yeah,
she was awesome.
Yeah.
And like she was GMing for 6 people when the module was only supposed to run 4 because they were overbooked. And like maybe that scuffed it a little. But I was like, I can't see myself playing this over any other role-playing game, unfortunately.
Let me ask you this. Does it have enough elements that were really interesting to hack it apart and add it into other games? Because some people I know, Franco specifically, one of my co-hosts, basically he buys games to like take mechanics out of and hack it apart and then add them into homebrewed stuff.
The modifier decks are cool in the sense that like because you have skills and then you have attacks. So your modifier decks in the RPG have their attack modifier value and also your skill modifier value, which is a higher number.
Yeah.
So when you flip the card over and you're doing a skill test, like a 6 is pretty good.
Right.
Like for a skill test, you know, it's like your skill is usually like between 2 and 4.
Yeah.
And then the modifier can be between like 2 and 6. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's a lower number. And then also it's like if you want to do certain actions in the game, you like flip over the top card in your deck, but in Gloomhaven, like you don't have a deck, it's just a hand. And then when it's weird.
Yeah.
I think there's some stuff to hack apart, sure, but I wouldn't.
But as a game, it's not your jam.
Just get Gloomhaven, man. The second edition's coming out. It's going to be so fly. Like, get Jaws of the Lion. Just get like, if you're interested in Gloomhaven and you love RPGs, I would recommend just like get Jaws of the Lion, and then you have 4 sick minis.
Yeah. It also just like for me, when I was playing Gloomhaven, and also because I've played Jaws of the Lion, it kind of functions as a TTRPG already because your quest, like going into a mission, has a lot of text and interesting things. Coming out of a mission, depending on how you do it, has interesting things. And then there's like a board that you kind of unlock portions of and like do stuff.
The story is neat, and it's
like it already kind of has that. So if you're interested in sort of like a TTRPG experience, like you're not going to role play really, but you kind of get a story out of it already, so you don't really need...
I would say it's akin to like a Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yeah, totally.
If you're into that kind of thing, like that's great. You don't get to choose the story. The story is told to you, but and the tactical combat is tight.
Yes.
It's very, very, very tight. And then the role-playing game is just like, okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about before we close down this wrap-up of PAX?
I think that's pretty much all I had. The last thing I guess that I'll say is like if you've never been to PAX before and you want to go, like... ask questions about it on your Discord.
Yeah.
And like I will do my best to like pass those answers to Nick or answer them myself.
Yeah.
Because it's great. And also it's like some people I think sometimes feel like there's this barrier to entry because of travel, or even if it's like, well, where am I going to get food? And it's like PAX Unplugged is great. It's right across from Reading Terminal Market where there's so much food.
And good food.
I didn't buy food once.
Really?
At PAX this year. I meal prep, baby.
Nice.
And I put my little lunchbox at the bag check, and then I got my lunch from the bag check and then just put it right back. Like, so it's like you can go if you feel like you're like, I don't know, like about that. Philly is a fairly inexpensive town to like get an Airbnb in.
Philly's great also.
And Philly's awesome.
Like, and to be fair, when we were looking at the prices of PAX and everything, a full weekend PAX or PAX like unplugged tag or whatever doesn't cost that much. It's like $90 or something, right?
It's way less expensive than PAX East.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, and in my opinion, having only heard about PAX East, I kind of think it's a better con as well.
Well, it's a better con, especially if you like board games.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if you're
it's
into
very
video
much
games,
more focused.
Whatever, but yeah.
Cool. Well, everyone, this was another episode on PAX. We're going to do this every year with my friend Mac. If you have any questions, please join the Discord. Like Mac said, he's on there. I'm on there. We can always tell you anything you want about board games or otherwise. If you're interested in the show, you can always send us a question to have answered on the podcast by going to tabletoppod.com and filling out the contact form there. Or you can send us a DM on any of our Instagram or Twitters, and we will be able to answer them as well. All right, everyone. We'll see you next week. And we will see you later, Mac. Goodbye.
Bye.